My name is Celeste Harrow, I'm 31 years old, and on what was supposed to be my wedding day, I stood in the vestibule of St. Anne's Cathedral in Providence, Rhode Island, watching my mother-in-law Geraldine direct a florist to tear down my ivory and blush arrangements and replace them with her daughter's white and gold. My sister-in-law Bethany was already in a wedding dress in the bridal suite I had booked 11 months earlier. My fiancé's father was at the front of the sanctuary, adjusting a program that said Bethany Whitmore and Spencer Pratt, a union blessed. My own mother was standing 3 feet away from me with her hands folded, saying nothing. My father was pretending to check his phone. The cathedral was booked for 1 p.m. My wedding was booked for 1 p.m. Both ceremonies, same hour, same church, same aisle. Geraldine had told the cousins I changed my mind. She had told the florist I was a bridesmaid. She had told my own grandmother I had eloped in February. 15 minutes before the processional was supposed to begin, Father Adrien Callan walked into that vestibule carrying a leather-bound appointment calendar, and the entire Whitmore family stopped breathing. Before I tell you what was written on the only page that mattered in that calendar, please take a moment to like and subscribe and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is. Now let me take you back to a Tuesday morning in February, 11 months before the wedding. I was at my desk at Harrow Carver Architects, the firm my late grandfather had started in 1961 and that I had taken over at 28 after he passed. Rowan, my fiancé, had proposed on New Year's Eve at the lighthouse at Beavertail. A plain platinum band, his grandmother's diamond, a speech he had written on the back of a receipt. I said yes before he finished. We set the date for October 12th, a Saturday, because my grandfather had been married on October 12th in 1959 and I wanted a thread from his marriage to mine. I picked up the phone at 9:14 and called the parish office at St. Anne's. I had been baptized there. My mother had been married there. My grandfather's funeral had been there the previous March. The cathedral secretary, Mrs. Delia Fonseca, had known me since I was in pigtails. Celeste, honey. What can I do for you? I'd like to book the sanctuary for October 12th at 1 p.m. Rowan and I are getting married. A pause. I could hear her pen moving. October 12th, 1 p.m. Sanctuary, full ceremony, Father Callan officiating. You want the vestibule for bridal party, the south parlor for the flowers, and the bridal suite upstairs? Yes, please. All of it. Deposit is $1,200 for the full package. I'll email the invoice today. You'll want to confirm with Father Callan about premarital counseling. He'll want 6 sessions before the date. Got it. Thank you, Mrs. Fonseca. Anything for a Harrow, honey. I hung up. I paid the deposit from my personal account that afternoon. I emailed Rowan the confirmation. I called Father Callan's cell, I had his number from the funeral, and we scheduled our first session for the following Tuesday. I want you to hold on to that detail. I paid the deposit from my personal account. I signed the contract. The booking was in my name alone, not joint, not Rowan's, not the Whitmore family's. That one administrative choice, made casually on a Tuesday morning with a coffee in my hand, would turn out to be the hinge the whole story swung on. I met Rowan's family 4 days later. Geraldine Whitmore had insisted on a proper introduction dinner at her house in East Greenwich, a sprawling colonial with a circular driveway and a box hedge trimmed to a knife's edge. Rowan opened the door for me. He squeezed my hand once before he let me in. She's a lot, he whispered. She's going to be a lot. I love you. I love you too. I can handle a lot. I walked in. Geraldine was in the foyer in a cream pantsuit with pearl earrings that matched the pearls sewn into her collar. She was a tall woman, late 60s, with the posture of somebody who had taken elocution lessons and never stopped using them. She looked me up and down in the half-second it takes a cashier to scan a barcode. Celeste. What a pretty name. Is it French? My grandmother was Portuguese. It's from her side. Oh. How nice. She turned toward the dining room without waiting. Rowan's father Harold Whitmore shook my hand like we were closing on a house, good grip, no warmth. And then Bethany descended the stairs. Bethany was 29, 2 years younger than Rowan, and she descended stairs the way people do when they know a staircase is a stage. Blonde, thin, a dress that cost more than my car payment. She kissed me on both cheeks before I could react. "Oh my gosh, you are adorable. Rowan said you were cute, but Mom, isn't she darling?" "Darling," Geraldine agreed. At dinner, Geraldine asked me what my parents did. I told her my father was a retired high school principal and my mother was a nurse. "How sweet," Geraldine said. "So grounded." Bethany talked for most of the meal. She was engaged too, she told me, to a man named Spencer Pratt who worked in asset management. They were looking at a 2026 wedding. Something really special. Maybe a destination. "We haven't decided." "October 2026? I asked. Bethany laughed. "We haven't even set a month yet. We're being very intentional. I want to take my time." Geraldine smiled over her wineglass. "Bethany deserves her time. She's waited her whole life to be a bride." I sipped my water and said nothing. Rowan's hand found mine under the table. In the car on the way home, he apologized for an hour. "She's not always like that. My mother, she gets territorial. Bethany is her favorite. She always has been." "I'm sorry." "It's fine," I said. It wasn't fine. It was the first evening of a pattern I would come to know by heart. From that week on, every wedding update I shared with Geraldine was received with a tight smile and a correction. When I told her we were using a florist from Newport, she said Bethany's eventual florist would be from Boston and asked if I was sure I wanted something so regional. When I told her the reception would be at my grandfather's converted mill in Pawtucket, she said Bethany had always pictured a ballroom. When I showed her a photo of my grandmother's lace I was having incorporated into my dress, she said, "Oh. Interesting choice. Bethany will wear new." In April, Rowan and I sent out save the dates. Ivory cards, blush lettering, St. Anne's Cathedral, October 12, 1 p.m. printed clearly across the front. I hand-addressed every Whitmore envelope. I dropped them at the post office myself. Geraldine texted me the next day. "Received. Is that really the date you've settled on? Harold and I were hoping for something in the summer. Bethany's fertility window, etc." I did not respond to that text for 6 hours. When I did, I wrote, "October 12th is our date." It was my grandfather's wedding date. It means a lot to me and Rowan. She wrote back, just that. Just one syllable. I should have known then. I didn't. In May, Geraldine called me at work. "Celeste, darling, I've been thinking. What if Bethany was your matron of honor?" "Geraldine, Bethany isn't married yet. She'd be maid of honor, technically. And my best friend Imani has been my best friend since we were 7. She's my maid of honor." "Oh. Of course. I just thought, family, you know. It would mean so much to Bethany. She's been feeling left out. She's welcome to be a bridesmaid." A bridesmaid. A pause that stretched. I'll mention it to her. Bethany never joined the bridal party. Geraldine never brought it up again directly. But 3 days later, Bethany posted a photo on Instagram of herself in a white dress at a fitting with the caption "Bride-to-be era." "Can't wait for my big day." No date mentioned. No venue mentioned. Just the image. I showed Rowan. He shook his head. "She does stuff like this. She's always been like this. Ignore it." I ignored it. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. In June, something shifted that I didn't catch until much later. Geraldine asked me, casually, at a Sunday lunch, which parish we were getting married at. I told her again, St. Anne's. "And who's officiating?" "Father Adrien Callan." Oh, Father Callan. How nice. Bethany adores him. He baptized her, you know. I didn't know. Yes, back when we lived in Cranston. He's practically family to us. I remember thinking it was odd that she asked. She had been on the save-the-date list. She had seen the venue printed clearly. She asked like she was confirming, not inquiring. I filed it away and forgot it. In July, Rowan and I had our fourth session with Father Callan. After the session, Father Callan walked us to the parking lot. He paused by my car. Celeste, a small thing. Your mother-in-law left me a voicemail last week asking if I do private ceremonies. I assumed she meant for some future event. I called her back twice. She hasn't returned the calls. Is everything all right? I looked at Rowan. Rowan looked at me. She probably meant Bethany's wedding, Rowan said. She's been planning ahead. Bethany's engaged too. Ah. That would make sense. My apologies. He patted my shoulder. Everything set for October? You and I have 2 more sessions. All set, Father. I should have paused on that. I didn't. I had 3 commercial projects closing at work and a wedding to plan and a mother-in-law to manage. I did not have space in my head for Geraldine's voicemails to a priest about private ceremonies. In August, I ran into Bethany at a wine bar in Providence. I was there with Imani for my bachelorette planning. Bethany was there with 3 women I did not know, all of them in white. The table was loud. Bethany saw me, waved me over. Celeste. Ladies, this is my future sister-in-law. Celeste, this is Marina, Brooke, and Haley. My bridesmaids. Marina stood up and hugged me. Oh my God, congratulations. October is so soon. I went very still. October? Bethany laughed. She laughed too hard, too loud. I meant for you. Your wedding. Not mine. We're still planning. Oh. I smiled. I smiled with nothing behind it. Right. October 12th, I'm the one getting married in October. Bethany hasn't set a date yet. Marina looked confused. Haley looked at her drink. Brooke excused herself to the bathroom. Imani, beside me, took my elbow. Celeste, we should get our table. I promised the hostess. I followed her. At our own table, Imani leaned in close. Celeste. Those girls were wearing wedding white. Not bachelorette white. Actual bridal party white with bouquets on the chairs. It's a bachelorette thing. Fake wedding. It's a trend. Celeste. Imani looked at me directly. That was a bridal shower. There were gifts on the table. I saw wrapped gifts. I sipped my wine. I did not turn around. Bethany throws parties for her parties. It's fine. I told myself it was fine for another 3 weeks. In early September, 5 weeks before the wedding, I got an email from Mrs. Fonseca at the parish office. Celeste, just doing a final review of the calendar before October kicks off. Can you confirm, October 12th, 1 p.m., full sanctuary, reception free? I showed 2 inquiries on that date and want to make sure we're clean on your booking. I wrote back immediately. Yes, confirmed. October 12th, 1 p.m. single booking, mine. Deposit paid February 6th, invoice number 7842. Please let me know if there's any confusion. She replied within an hour. No confusion on my end, honey. Your booking is in ink. Just a courtesy heads up that there was a second inquiry I had to decline last month. Someone called asking about a private family ceremony at the same time. I told them the sanctuary was booked. Have a wonderful afternoon. A second inquiry. I sat at my desk at work and read that email 3 times. I did not tell Rowan. I did not tell my mother. I forwarded it to my personal email and I saved it in a folder I made that afternoon called Wedding, Admin. That folder would eventually hold 41 emails, 7 voicemails I transcribed, 3 text message screenshots, and 1 contract. That week I started keeping records of everything. Not because I knew what was coming, I didn't know, but because something in the back of my head had started to hum, low and steady, the way it does when you walk into a room and the furniture has been moved half an inch to the left. 2 weeks before the wedding, Geraldine hosted a family tea at her house. My mother was invited. My grandmother Imelda, 83 and sharper than most 40-year-olds, was invited. Bethany was there. Bethany's future mother-in-law, a Mrs. Pratt, was there. My Aunt Celine drove up from New Haven. The conversation was polite for 40 minutes. Then Mrs. Pratt, sipping her tea, said to my grandmother, "And you must be so excited for the big day, Mrs. Harrow. 2 weddings in 2 weeks. What a whirlwind for the family." My grandmother set her teacup down. "I'm sorry. 2 weddings?" Mrs. Pratt looked at Geraldine. Geraldine smiled a smile I would later dream about. "Oh, Vivian, I told you. Celeste's is a quiet thing, just a small gathering. Bethany's is the big celebration." My grandmother's eyes moved, slow, to Geraldine. Then to me. Then back to Geraldine. My grandmother had known Geraldine Whitmore for approximately 7 months. She had known me for 31 years. A quiet thing. My grandmother repeated the phrase as if tasting it. "Is that so, Geraldine?" "Oh, very intimate. Just immediate family. Celeste and Rowan want it low-key." I was sitting 3 feet away. My mother was across the table. Neither of us said anything. I watched my mother's face. She glanced at me, then at her hands. She did not speak. My grandmother did. "Celeste, sweetheart. Is that what you want? Low-key?" "No, Grandma. We have 140 guests. It's a full ceremony at St. Anne's." "At St. Anne's. October 12th, yes." My grandmother turned her attention fully to Geraldine then, and my grandmother, when she focused on someone, had a way of making the air tighten around them. "And Bethany's wedding is when, dear?" Geraldine's smile wavered. "We're still finalizing." "Soon. Soon as in a month? Soon as in a year?" "Soon." My grandmother smiled without teeth. "How nice. I look forward to hearing about it." The tea ended 20 minutes later. In the car on the way home, my grandmother said to my mother, "Teresa, that woman is planning something." My mother said, "Mother, please. Don't start. Teresa. Listen to me. That woman is planning something and your daughter cannot see it because your daughter trusts her fiancé's family the way you taught her to trust. You raised her to assume good faith. Good faith is going to cost her if you don't open your eyes." My mother did not answer. I was in the back seat. I heard every word. That night I went home and I opened my wedding admin folder. I forwarded the entire folder to my personal attorney, a woman named Priscilla Nada who had handled the succession paperwork when I took over the firm. I wrote in the subject line, "Precautionary. Wedding in 2 weeks. Read when you can." Priscilla wrote back the next morning. "Celeste. Read through everything. A few observations. 1. Your booking contract at St. Anne's is clean, signed, paid, and in your name alone. 2. The second inquiry Mrs. Fonseca declined is a documented attempt by someone to book the same slot. That matters. 3. I would strongly suggest you call Father Callan this week and confirm with him personally, on the record, that your ceremony is the only ceremony he has on his calendar for October 12th. Ask for the confirmation in writing if possible. 4. Keep everything. Do not delete a single email. 5. If anything happens that day that feels coordinated, call me immediately. I'm 2 hours away. I can be on the phone in 90 seconds. I read her email twice. I called Father Callan that afternoon. Father Callan picked up on the third ring. I was in my car in the parking garage of my office building. I had left work early because I could not concentrate after reading Priscilla's email. Celeste. Everything all right? Father, I need to ask you something directly, and I need you to answer me directly. On October 12th at 1 p.m, do you have any other ceremony on your calendar besides mine and Rowan's? A pause. I could hear him opening a drawer. I don't know what they're planning. I just know the silence has been too polite for too long. I squeezed his hand. We have a priest. We have a contract. We have an attorney. Whatever they do, we already know. He nodded. Tell me one more time. Tell me the priest has it in writing. He has it in writing. I have it in writing. Priscilla has it in writing. The parish office has it on file. It is over-documented. Thank God. The last 5 days before the wedding were very quiet on the Whitmore side. Too quiet. Geraldine did not call. Bethany did not post on Instagram. Harold did not text Rowan his usual weekend check-in. On the Thursday before the wedding, my mother came to my apartment to help me pack my overnight bag for the bridal suite. We were folding a pair of stockings when she said, very quietly, Celeste. I want to tell you something. Okay, Mom. At the tea. At Geraldine's. When she said your wedding was a quiet thing. I should have corrected her. I didn't. I was embarrassed and I was confused and I froze. I have been thinking about it for 2 weeks and I want to apologize to you before your wedding day, because I don't want to carry it past the weekend. I stopped folding. I looked at my mother. She was standing at the edge of my bed with a pair of pantyhose in her hand, looking like a woman who had been rehearsing this apology in her kitchen for 14 days. Mom. I'm so sorry, Celeste. I let that woman speak over you in front of your grandmother. Your grandmother had to be the one to say something. That was my job, and I didn't do it. I want you to know I see it. I see that I didn't do it. I will do better. Starting Saturday. I took the pantyhose from her hand. I set them down. I hugged her. I hugged her for a long time. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for saying that now. Before. Before what, honey? I pulled back. I looked at her. Before Saturday, Mom. Geraldine is going to try something Saturday. I don't know what. I just know she is. And when she does, I need you to stand with me. Even if it's uncomfortable. Even if Dad freezes. I need one parent to stand. My mother nodded. Her chin trembled, but her eyes were steady. I'll stand, Celeste. I'll stand. The Friday before the wedding, the rehearsal. I had invited Geraldine and Harold and Bethany. Bethany did not come. Geraldine said Bethany had a migraine. Harold was stiff but polite. Geraldine was strangely affectionate, kissing both my cheeks, complimenting my earrings, asking my mother about the flowers. Rowan watched her the whole night. So did I. At the rehearsal dinner at my grandfather's mill, Geraldine stood up during dessert and gave a toast. To Celeste and Rowan. May your day tomorrow be everything you have planned. She smiled. She sat down. My grandmother, at the next table over, met my eyes. My grandmother did not smile. She lifted her glass the smallest fraction and set it down untouched. My grandmother had caught the sentence. Everything you have planned. Not everything you deserve. Not everything you have dreamed of. Everything you have planned. As if other plans existed. I did not sleep much that night. I lay in the guest bed at my parents' house, in the bedroom I had slept in from age 12 to 22, staring at the ceiling fan turning slow above me. At 2 a.m. I got up and I opened my wedding admin folder one last time. I reviewed everything. Contract, paid. Deposit receipt, filed. Father Callan's confirmation email, printed, in the garment bag. Priscilla's cell number, in my phone under favorites. The second inquiry email from Mrs. Fonseca, starred. I closed the laptop. I said a prayer to a grandfather who had been dead for 19 months. I asked him to walk me down the aisle the way he had promised me at my college graduation. I went back to bed. I slept 2 more hours. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Saturday morning, 8 a.m. I arrived at St. Anne's with my mother, my grandmother, Imani, and 3 bridesmaids. We carried garment bags and makeup cases through the side entrance and up the narrow stone staircase to the bridal suite on the 2nd floor of the rectory. Mrs. Fonseca was in the hallway as we passed. "Celeste, honey. You look beautiful already. Big day." "Thank you, Mrs. Fonseca. Father Callan is in his office. He's asked me to let him know the moment you arrive. I'll tell him you're here." "Thank you." She did not mention anything unusual. She smiled the warm smile of a woman doing her job on a Saturday morning. I went upstairs. For the next 3 hours I did what brides do. I drank a small cup of coffee I was too nervous to finish. I let Imani zip me into my grandmother's lace. I let the hairstylist pin my hair into the low chignon my mother had worn at her own wedding. I cried once when my grandmother fastened my grandfather's pocket watch to a ribbon around my bouquet. I laughed 3 times at jokes I do not remember. At 11:40 a.m. my father came upstairs to see me. He stood in the doorway of the bridal suite and his eyes filled and he said, "Sweetheart." My God. He hugged me carefully, not wanting to wrinkle the dress. He held my hand. "I'm sorry about the tea. Your mother told me what she should have said. I should have said it too. I'm sorry, Celeste. I'm going to walk you down that aisle and I am going to do it well." "I know you will, Dad." He kissed my forehead. He went downstairs to greet guests. At 12:15 p.m. Mrs. Fonseca knocked on the bridal suite door. Her face was pale. "Celeste. I need you for a minute." Quickly. I went into the hallway. "What's wrong?" "There is a florist downstairs in the south parlor. A different florist than yours. She's removing your arrangements and replacing them with white and gold. She has an invoice in her hand for a Whitmore Pratt ceremony at 1 p.m. today." I stood in the hallway in my wedding dress with my hair pinned and my bouquet on the vanity behind me and I felt something in my chest go very cold and very quiet. "Where is Father Callan?" "In his office. I already called him. He's coming." "Where is Geraldine?" "I believe she's in the south parlor directing the florist." "Is Bethany here?" "I believe Bethany is in the east bridal suite." "Yes. She is. I saw her arrive at 11:50 in a white dress." "The east bridal suite. The one I didn't book. The one we don't typically use." "Yes." I looked at Mrs. Fonseca. "Mrs. Fonseca. Who let Bethany into the east bridal suite?" "I don't know, Celeste." "I did not." "Someone did." "Who set up the programs?" "I saw programs at the front when I walked in. They said Whitmore Pratt." "I didn't set those up either. They were there when I arrived at 7 a.m. I took a breath. I went back into the bridal suite. Imani looked up. "What's wrong?" I told them in one sentence. My mother sat down on the edge of the chaise. My grandmother stood up. "Celeste. Listen to me." My grandmother crossed the room. She took my hands. She looked me directly in the face. "This is your cathedral. This is your priest. This is your day. You paid for it. You signed for it. They are squatters. You do not need to rush. You do not need to cry. You do not need to go downstairs screaming. You go downstairs as a bride, on your own time, and you let the priest do his job. Do you understand me? I understand, Grandma. Good. Now fix your lipstick and walk down those stairs like a harrow. I fixed my lipstick. I walked down the stairs like a harrow. In my left hand, I carried my bouquet. In my right hand, folded into the ribbon wrapped around the stems, I carried the printed copy of Father Callan's confirmation email. The vestibule of St. Anne's is stone and oak, 30 feet deep, with 2 heavy doors leading to the sanctuary and 1 leading to the side parlors. When I reached the bottom of the staircase, the scene hit me all at once. Geraldine Whitmore, in a cream suit with pearls, standing next to a florist I had never seen, directing her to pull the last of my blush peonies out of a standing arrangement and replace them with white calla lilies. Harold Whitmore, at the sanctuary door, adjusting a stack of programs with Bethany's name across the front. 2 women I did not recognize, arranging a guest book that said Whitmore Pratt in gold leaf. My father, 3 feet away from all of this, with his hands at his sides, not moving. My mother, next to him, also not moving. Bethany, emerging from the east hallway in a long white dress with a chapel-length train, flanked by Marina and Brooke in identical white shift dresses. And then, behind all of them, Father Adrien Callan in his full vestments, walking in from the direction of his office, carrying a leather-bound appointment calendar. He saw me before he saw Geraldine. He nodded to me once, small, steady, and kept walking. Geraldine turned then. She saw me. Her face did something complicated in the half-second she had to arrange it. Surprise. Recovery. Then the smile. Celeste. Darling. You look, oh. Oh, I thought you'd be much later. Geraldine. What is happening here? Oh, sweetheart, there's been a lovely development. Bethany and Spencer decided to do their ceremony today after all. It turned out their venue had a scheduling issue, and we thought, what a beautiful coincidence, 2 sisters-in-law married on the same day. Father Callan is going to do both. Just a small blessing for Bethany first, then your full ceremony. It's going to be so special. My father took half a step forward. My mother put her hand on his arm, not to stop him, but to stand with him. Both of them had moved. I registered that. Bethany, in her dress, laughed lightly. Celeste, I know it's last minute. But think of it. A story we'll tell forever. Geraldine's florist kept removing my peonies. Harold was still at the sanctuary door with the wrong programs. Father Callan reached the center of the vestibule. He stopped. He did not raise his voice. He simply spoke, and the vestibule's stone acoustics carried his words to every corner. Mrs. Whitmore. Mr. Whitmore. Bethany. A word, please. Geraldine turned. Father, we were just explaining to Celeste, Mrs. Whitmore. He held up the leather calendar. This is my appointment book. I have 1 calendar. I keep it in my desk. I update it myself. May I read to you what is written for October 12th at 1 p.m. Geraldine's smile slipped a 1/4 inch. Father, there's no need. He opened the calendar. He found the page. He turned it so that the vestibule, now crowded with early arriving guests who had stopped to watch, could see the handwritten entry. October 12th, 1 p.m. Harrow Whitmore Nuptial Mass. Celeste Harrow and Rowan Whitmore. Full ceremony. Prepared in conjunction with 6 sessions of premarital counseling conducted between February and September of this year. That is the only entry for this date and this time. There is no blessing ceremony. There is no Whitmore Pratt ceremony. There is no second booking. He closed the calendar. He turned to Geraldine. Mrs. Whitmore. I received a voicemail from you in July inquiring about private ceremonies. I returned your call twice. You did not return mine. I spoke with Celeste directly in early September. She asked me on the record to confirm that no other ceremony was scheduled on this date. I confirmed it in writing. I sent her a confirmation email on September 28th. I have the email in my office. I believe she has a printed copy with her. He looked at me. I stepped forward. I unfolded the email from the ribbon of my bouquet. I handed it to him. He held it up, unfolded, so the vestibule could see. This is that email. This is my signature. This is my stamp. Any attempt to schedule a competing event at the same time will be refused by me personally. He lowered the email. He looked at Geraldine. Mrs. Whitmore. There is no competing event. There will not be a competing event. The florist you brought will remove the lilies and restore the peonies. The programs at the sanctuary door will be removed. The guest book will be removed. The East bridal suite will be vacated. Bethany, you will change out of that dress in the parlor and you will sit in the pew I will assign you as a member of the groom's family, if you choose to stay. If you do not choose to stay, you will leave by the side door. That is the only choice on offer to you at this moment. The vestibule was silent. I watched Bethany's face. Her mouth was open. She looked at her mother. Geraldine was looking at Father Callan with the expression of a woman who had rehearsed 7 different conversations and was realizing none of them were the one she was now having. Harold Whitmore cleared his throat. Father. With respect. We're a donating family. We have given to this parish for 30 years. I don't think you understand what you're saying to my wife. Father Callan turned his head. He looked at Harold Whitmore for exactly 3 seconds. Mr. Whitmore. Let me pull up the book. Hold on. I held. The garage was cold. I could hear my own breath. Celeste. My calendar for October 12th shows one event. Harrow Whitmore, 1 p.m. full nuptial mass. That's the only thing on that day in this cathedral. Nothing else. No private ceremony. No second booking. Nothing. Why are you asking? I told him. I told him about the second inquiry Mrs. Fonseca had declined. I told him about Geraldine's voicemails in July asking about private ceremonies. I told him about the tea at Geraldine's house and what she had said to my grandmother. I told him my attorney had suggested I confirm with him in writing. He was quiet for a long time after I finished. Celeste. His voice was different now. Priestly voices have 2 registers, the pastoral one and the parish administrator one. He had switched. I want you to listen to me. Your wedding is in my book. Your wedding is the wedding I will officiate on October 12th. I will write you a confirmation email tonight. I will CC Mrs. Fonseca. I will print a hard copy and keep it in my desk. If anyone approaches the cathedral that day claiming a competing ceremony, they will be dealing with me directly. Do you understand? I understand. One more thing. Yes, Father. I have known the Whitmore family for 30 years. I baptized Bethany. I buried Geraldine's mother. I have seen Geraldine do things in this parish that would curl your hair. I am telling you this as your priest and as someone who has watched you since you were in a Christmas pageant at age 6. If she tries anything, I will be the person in the vestibule. Not a secretary. Not a deacon. Me. Are we clear? We're clear. Good. Go home. Eat something. Trust the paperwork. I drove home. I ate something. I slept 7 hours. The following morning, the confirmation email arrived from Father Callan at 6:47 a.m. It was 2 paragraphs long. It stated the date, the time, the full names of the bride and groom, the confirmation that his calendar showed only one ceremony, and a line at the bottom that I read 3 times. Any attempt to schedule a competing event at the same time will be refused by me personally. This email serves as documentation of that intent. I printed 3 copies. I put one in my wedding admin folder. I emailed one to Priscilla. I slid one into the zipper pocket of the garment bag where my wedding dress was hanging in my guest room closet. The 3rd copy went with the dress. 6 days before the wedding, Geraldine called me. It was a Sunday evening. I was on my couch with Rowan and a half-eaten pint of ice cream between us. Her name on the screen made my stomach tighten. Celeste, dear, I wanted to float an idea by you. Okay. Harold and I have been thinking. Since the cathedral is so large and your guest list is so intimate, what if we allowed Bethany and Spencer to do a small blessing ceremony immediately after yours? Father Callan is already there. The flowers are already up. It would be a lovely gift to Bethany. She's been feeling so left behind. I looked at Rowan. Rowan's jaw had tightened. He was mouthing the word no at me. I did not need him to mouth it. Geraldine, no. Celeste, sweetheart, I don't think you appreciate what this would mean, Geraldine. No. It's my wedding day. It's Rowan's wedding day. We are not sharing it with a blessing ceremony. Bethany is welcome to plan her own wedding at her own church on her own date. She is not welcome to use ours. A silence. Sharp. I see. I appreciate that you want to include her, but this isn't the way. Fine. The word was clipped. Fine. I'll let her know. She hung up before I could say goodbye. Rowan took my hand. Celeste. That was too casual. What do you mean? My mother never gives up that fast. If she had been asking sincerely, she would have pushed for 10 more minutes. She would have cried. She would have put my father on the phone. That was a test. A test of what? Whether we'd notice. I looked at him. He was staring at the television. Rowan. Do you think she's planning something? I think my mother has been planning something since February. I think my sister has been planning something since February. I think I have been trying not to see it because they're my family. He turned to me. His eyes were wet. I'm sorry, Celeste. I should have said this a month ago. We exchanged my grandmother's rings, my grandfather's platinum band for Rowan, my grandmother's thin gold band for me. Father Callan blessed us. 138 guests applauded. 2 empty seats in the third row on the groom's side stayed empty. Nobody mentioned them. We danced at the reception at my grandfather's mill until 11. Rowan's great-uncle gave the toast Harold should have given. He said Rowan had found a woman who would not let him drift, and that was the only thing a Whitmore man had ever needed. The fallout played out over the next 6 months in smaller rooms than the vestibule. Geraldine did not contact me for 9 weeks. When she finally did, it was a typed letter, mailed to my office, apologizing in phrases that had clearly been workshopped with a therapist. Rowan read it before I did. He handed it to me without comment. I read it twice. I filed it in the wedding admin folder. I did not respond. Harold Whitmore called Rowan on a Wednesday in December. He asked to meet for coffee. Rowan met him. Harold apologized, not for himself, but for Geraldine. Rowan listened. Then he said, Dad. I appreciate you coming. I am not ready to have Mom in my home. I am not ready for her to be in a room with my wife. If you want to see us, you come alone. If you want us to see you, you come alone. That is the shape of our relationship now. Harold said, Understood, son. They saw each other, alone, twice a month after that for dinner. Geraldine was not invited. Bethany's engagement to Spencer Pratt ended in November. I heard it from Rowan, who heard it from Harold. Spencer had learned, through a mutual friend who had been at my wedding, that the white dress and the calla lilies and the booked East bridal suite had all been arranged by Geraldine with only a vague yes, sure from Bethany, who had been told repeatedly that Celeste had agreed to everything. When Spencer understood that his own engagement had been used as a prop in his future mother-in-law's scheme, he ended things. Mrs. Pratt the elder called my mother personally to apologize on behalf of her family. My mother took the call. They spoke for 40 minutes. My mother told me about it that evening. Celeste. She is mortified. She knew something was strange at that tea. She did not know it was that strange. Bethany, I learned from a cousin 6 months later, moved to Charleston. She started over. She did not reach out to Rowan. She did not reach out to me. I did not reach out to her. There was no reconciliation. There also, eventually, was no resentment. She had been a prop in her mother's story too. I could see that from the far side of the year. Father Callan received a letter from the Providence Diocese in January. Harold Whitmore had written to the bishop complaining about the public humiliation his family had experienced in the vestibule. The bishop wrote back a 3-line letter stating that Father Callan had acted within the full authority of his pastorate and that the diocese considered the matter closed. Father Callan forwarded me a copy. In his own handwriting at the top, he had written, "For your files." I added it to the folder. My grandmother Imelda lived another 4 years after my wedding. She died on a Tuesday morning in spring, in her own bed, with my mother holding one hand and me holding the other. The last full conversation we had, she said to me, "Celeste, you did it right. You didn't raise your voice. You let the paper speak. That is how women in our family win. Remember that for your own daughters." I remembered it. I have a daughter now. Her name is Imelda Rose Whitmore. She is 2.5. She has my grandmother's mouth and her father's hands and a way of pointing at the moon like it owes her an explanation. My mother comes to our house every Sunday. She brings a small pink notebook. She and Imelda have tea at a small table by the window. My mother has become, in the last 3 years, the grandmother I would have chosen for my daughter from a lineup of strangers. She is present. She speaks. She does not freeze. She has never once, in 3 years, let anyone speak over my child in her presence. My father has learned from my mother. He is slower, but he is learning. Rowan's relationship with his father is steady. Harold holds Imelda when he visits. He visits alone. We did not invite Geraldine to the baptism. We did not invite her to Imelda's first birthday. We sent her a Christmas card with a photograph last year, and a note that said, "We hope you are well." She sent one back with a note that said, "I am. I miss you all. I am still working on myself." Rowan read it. He set it on the counter. He said, "Maybe next year." I said, "Maybe." That was the most honest word I have ever said about her. Here is the moment I want to leave with you, because it is the moment I think about when I look at my daughter. 2 months after the wedding, in early December, I was going through the photographs the photographer had finally delivered. There is a photograph in the collection of the vestibule at 12:48 p.m., taken by the second shooter from the choir loft above. In the photograph, you can see the florist returning peonies to the arrangement. You can see Bethany walking out the side door. You can see Harold guiding Geraldine toward the entrance. You can see Father Callan with his calendar closed. And you can see me, in the center of the frame, in my grandmother's lace, with my mother on one side and my father on the other and my grandmother one step behind, and none of us is speaking, and all of us are standing very still, and you can see, even from that distance, that my face is calm. I framed that photograph. It sits on my desk at the firm. Clients sometimes ask about it. I tell them it is a photograph of the quietest moment of my life. I do not explain further. They do not ask further. A year after the wedding, I was in my grandfather's office at the firm, my office now, and I was looking at a spec for a Catholic school renovation in Cranston. The project was small, underfunded, a pro bono piece I had taken on because the school reminded me of St. Anne's. I added a line item I paid for personally. A new calendar desk for the parish secretary. Hand-bound leather. Mrs. Fonseca's name embossed in gold on the front cover. I had it delivered the week before Christmas with a card that said only, "For your book. With gratitude, Celeste." She called me that evening. She cried on the phone for about a minute. Then she said, "Celeste, honey, I am going to write your wedding in the very first page. I have been the pastor of St. Anne's for 22 years. I understand exactly what I am saying. I am saying it in front of the bride, whose day this is, and in front of the assembling congregation, who deserve to know that the ceremony they came to witness is the only ceremony taking place. Your donations to this parish are appreciated. They do not purchase my calendar. He turned back to Geraldine. Mrs. Whitmore. The clock is running. My bride is waiting. What would you like to do? And then, into the silence, I spoke. I spoke once. I spoke quietly. Geraldine. Take it down. 6 words. The entire vestibule heard them. Geraldine Whitmore, for the first time in 8 months, had nothing to say. Geraldine did not answer me. She looked at the florist. The florist, clippers in her hand, was looking at the floor. Ma'am, the florist said to Geraldine, I'm going to need someone to confirm payment and authority before I touch another arrangement. I was told this was a mutual setup. I am now hearing it is not. It is not, Father Callan said. The peonies were paid for by Celeste Harrow in March. Please restore them. The florist nodded. She turned and began, very carefully, to put my peonies back into the standing arrangement. Harold stepped forward. Geraldine. We need to go. Harold, we need to go. Now. Bethany, come with us. Bethany did not move. She was standing in her white dress in the middle of the vestibule with her 2 bridesmaids in shift dresses flanking her, and she was looking at her mother with an expression I had never seen on her face before. Mom. Her voice was thin. Mom, you told me Celeste agreed to this. Geraldine's head snapped toward her daughter. Bethany. Not here. You told me on Tuesday that Celeste had agreed. You told me she was doing it as a gift. You told me she wanted to share the day. Bethany. We will discuss this in the car. We will discuss this right now because I am standing in a wedding dress in front of a priest who just said in front of everyone that there was never a ceremony for me on his calendar. There was never a ceremony. You booked nothing. You lied to me. Geraldine's face did the thing faces do when a lie is being pulled out of them in public. It went still, then slack, then the color drained. Bethany, darling, don't. Bethany lifted the train of her dress. She walked past her mother, past the florist, past Father Callan, past me, and out the side door of the vestibule into the garden. Marina and Brooke followed, not quickly. Harold watched his daughter leave. He turned to Geraldine. He took her elbow. We are leaving. Harold, our son is getting married today. If he wants to see us after, he will call us. That is his choice now. Not yours. He walked her out the front door, across the cathedral steps, past a dozen arriving guests who parted silently to let them through, and into their car. I found out later that Bethany changed in the sacristy bathroom, left the white dress folded on a pew, and drove herself home. Father Callan closed his calendar. He turned to the remaining guests. Friends. We will begin at 1 p.m. as planned. Please take your seats. The bride will process at the appointed time. The vestibule slowly emptied into the sanctuary. My mother walked over to me. She simply took the edge of my veil and smoothed it against my shoulder the way she had smoothed my hair before my first communion when I was 7. My father took my hand. He did not apologize again. He did not need to. Rowan came down from the groom's suite at 12:52. Mrs. Fonseca had kept him in the office through the whole thing. He walked straight to me. He did not look at the peonies or the scattered programs. He looked at me. Celeste. I just heard. My parents left. Bethany left. I want you to know something before we walk down this aisle. Okay. I am walking down this aisle to marry you. Not to marry you despite my family. To marry you. My family made a choice today. I am making mine. They do not get to dictate what our marriage looks like starting from this hour. Rowan. I love you, Celeste. I'm sorry it took this for me to say it this clearly. I should have said it in July, I should have said it in August. I'm saying it now. I kissed him. My mother did not stop me about the lipstick. At 1 p.m. sharp, Father Callan processed. My father walked me down the aisle of the cathedral. My grandfather had been eulogized in 19 months earlier. My grandmother Imelda was in the front pew with her hand pressed flat against the wood of the kneeler the whole ceremony. She did not cry. She watched. Rowan and I exchanged vows we had written ourselves. She did. She sent me a photo of the page. October 12, 1 p.m. Harrow Whitmore. The first entry in a new book. I keep that photograph on my phone. I look at it sometimes on hard days. It is a small thing. It is a reminder that paper remembers what people forget. Last month, Imelda asked me a question at breakfast. She was eating a piece of toast in the high chair at our kitchen table. She pointed at the framed wedding photograph on the bookshelf, and she said, "Mama. Who is that lady?" "That's Mama, sweet pea. On my wedding day." "Mama pretty." "Thank you, love." "Where is Dada?" "Right next to Mama." "That's Dada." She chewed her toast. She thought about it. Then she said, "Was it a good day, Mama?" I looked at the photograph. I looked at my daughter. I thought about the vestibule and the florist and the calendar and my grandmother's hand on the kneeler and my mother smoothing my veil and Father Callan's 3-second look at Harold and my quiet 6 words to Geraldine and Rowan coming down those steps at 12:52 and choosing me in plain daylight. Yes, baby. It was a good day. It was the day Mama learned what love stands up for. She nodded like she understood. She went back to her toast. Here's what I want you to take with you. A wedding is not a transaction. A family is not a guarantee. The people who love you will not always be the people who share your last name. And sometimes the only document that will protect you on the day you need protecting is the one you signed quietly 11 months earlier while nobody was watching. Sign things. Keep receipts. Ask priests for confirmation in writing. Tell your attorney before the storm, not after. Listen to your grandmother when she tightens her mouth at a T. And when the day comes that someone tries to take your hour from you, do not scream. Do not beg. Do not explain yourself to the person who is stealing from you. Produce the paper. Let the paper speak. Let the priest read the calendar out loud. Walk down your own aisle, in your own time, on the arm of the parent who showed up. My name is Celeste Harrow Whitmore. I am 35 years old now. I have a husband who chose me in a vestibule in front of his own mother. I have a daughter named for my grandmother. I have a firm my grandfather built and I run on the same block where he started it. I have parents who learned in public what they should have learned in private. I have a priest who writes my wedding in the front of every new calendar. I do not have a mother-in-law at my Sunday table. Some Sundays I feel the shape of that absence. Most Sundays I do not. I am at peace with both versions. Some tables are smaller than we planned. Some tables are truer than we dared hope. Mine is both. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.